In conversation with Chai-San Howard, she/her, movement director, and Ana Iversen, she/her, assistant movement director, about their work on the new production of Dracula at the Lyric Hammersmith Theatre. Chai-San and Ana are sat on two chairs. Chai-San is on the left and Ana is on the right. Chai-San has short, chin-length, dark brown hair and is wearing a red t-shirt. Ana is sat on the right, with shoulder-length, light brown curly hair, wearing a black sleeveless top. Behind them, to the right, is a mannequin, wearing a red Victorian-style dress.
The role of a movement director on any show is to kind of look after, create, and collaborate on the physical life and the physical storytelling. There's a lot of physicality involved in the telling of any story about vampires, and particularly in this. So my job is to help put that together.
So I'll be helping Chai-San with anything that she needs. I also kind of write little notes of certain elements that she's working with that I feel maybe could enhance the work, and then let her know about it later.
Been having really wonderful conversations with Umi and Jack, looking at the ideas of fear in the body, diving into the real specificity of having once been human and no longer being human, but still inhabiting human bodies, and also exploring inhuman bodies and what that might look like on stage.
Chai-San asked me to compose a warm-up for the company and for this specific project with a lot of upper body strength and stability to prepare their bodies for this type of work.
We're dealing in the supernatural, which is going to be a huge part of the physical language of the show. There's loads of fun to be had with that. Like, Dracula has seeped so far into our consciousness. No one can ever really remember the first time they found out what a vampire was, but we all know the rules. When you study it in school and it all feels a bit old and Victorian, and actually bringing it to really physical, visceral life, hopefully it will feel like meeting these ideas and these people urgently and immediately and dangerously right here and now.
By adding movement to such a classical piece like Dracula, it ignites something in like young audiences, because movement speaks to everyone. It's a universal language, so it draws people in, and I think we've got a chance to draw people in through the movement in this tale. I found it really interesting, the difference between human movement and creature or vampire or ghostly movement, and how there's certain nuances that just change, and you just know whether it's uncanny or whether it's real, whether it's evil or whether it's surreal or abstract.
And one of the biggest things we did, which often doesn't happen on other productions, is we had really comprehensive movement auditions. We didn't just meet actors, we met dancers, we met a lot of amazing acrobats, we met contortionists, we met aerial artists, we met hoop artists, we met all sorts of people, which meant that we could really hone in on different skills to make a piece of theatre that feels like something that we haven't seen before. The collaboration on this project's been absolutely amazing, and a really joyful experience as well. It's a kind of never-ending, constant conversation with the team, and we've got an array of shared Google documents of things that we've noticed, or ideas, or YouTube links. We've got an amazing Pinterest board. Adam, our amazing composer, has a wonderful playlist that he's put together that we then use for our movement. Adam's been in the room loads with us, and he watches everything, and he's got his headphones on, and he's live composing as he goes, and then filming things and taking things away and composing more. And then of course, like myself and Emma, really side by side all the time, throwing things in, and what about this idea, and yes, if you do that, then we can do this. And even when not everyone's in the room, you're then sending voice notes, WhatsApps, pictures and videos of something, or just a thought that popped into your head and you go, oh, I was on the tube today and I had this idea about this thing, and you just send it over to each other. And I think the best collaborations are like continuous conversations through the process. We're experimenting with lots of things. We're experimenting with stilts, the ones you might have seen that are kind of strapped to people's legs and they're bouncy. They're used loads for like motion capture work and things like that. And we're also like experimenting with extending appendages by using sort of props. One of the really exciting things we did was just sort of explore like everything we know about vampires in wider pop culture, so literally everything from like Twilight to like Mona the Vampire.
But even vampires from other countries as well,
Exactly.
And how different they are in other cultures.
Yeah, one of the really interesting ones is Chinese vampires hop on 2 legs. And so May, who's playing Lucy, is like experimenting with that hop as part of Lucy's manifestation as the Bloofer Lady. And we are also experimenting with illusion design. There is a fight with an invisible force at the end where there are responses happening from something invisible on stage. So that will definitely be an experiment. I stumbled across an interview with a movement director online many years ago, explaining what the job was, and I realised that those were all the things that interested me most about theatre, and that movement and companies that are rooted in movement, much like Atlantic Assembly, made the kind of theatre that I enjoyed the most. And at the end of this article was a link to the MA in movement directing and teaching at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. And as part of that, you get put on professional placement, which is what Anna is doing here with me. As a result of the second placement that I did, the movement director I assisted on that show, really brilliant movement director and choreographer Sarah Dowling, recommended me to a young director at the time, and so that was my first job, and myself and that director, we still work together to this day. For me, it's been word of mouth, and you start to build a bit of a snowball effect.
I came across movement directing through acting. I was working with a company called Voices of the Holocaust Theatre, and I found the work really challenging as an actor, and I started to add certain sequences and choreographies without knowing that I was movement directing. But I found that they helped because it's all verbatim theatre, so it's all based on testimonies of Holocaust survivors. I found that when you incorporated movement to the words, it made audiences want to watch it more. And very quickly, the director said to me, Anna, how would you like to step out as an actor and become our movement director? I was like, yes, please. I jumped at the chance. And I've worked with them on and off for about 15 years now. And it was through one of the actors on one of those shows, Meaning, that I began to choreograph a musical, which I'd never done before, but I work as a fitness instructor as well, so I work with music and choreographies and dance. I've danced my whole life. And it was after achieving that, which was taking a plunge into the deep end, that I thought, if I want to do this as a career, I need to get more training. So that's when I started looking to see where I could do an MA, and then I found Central. It's an amazing course, and the 2 course leaders on this course are incredible. They're so inspiring.
What I love most about being a movement director is the incredible array of work. Because often movement directors are working on 2 shows at once. So you could be like in a room doing fairies for Midsummer Night's Dream, and then you hop on the tube at lunch and you go to your other room and you're inventing vampires. And so it's always interesting, it's never boring, and you get to have an immediate impact on the work. Whatever you do will shape the way that show ends up being. And so it's like getting to be a kid again sometimes, like running around and pretending to be vampires. You get to live a new adventure on every show that you make.
I think one of the things that drew me the most to being a movement director was being able to tell stories without words. movement captivates me, and I love the fact that it can be in any language. You know, they always said that about Charlie Chaplin, how, you know, he's global, like everybody can relate to it because it's through movement that he's communicating in most of his films. Like Chai-san was saying about how you can work in opera or you can work in theatre or film. There's just such a broad...
Video games now, massively,
with,
motion capture.
Mocap.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's so much out there to explore, I can't wait.